One kitchen, two chefs, your choice. This is Boulder Bites. Each time, we'll take two delicious recipes and show you how you can make them yourselves with a little help from our Sky Chefs. Each of our chefs will be showing you how to make quick, easy, healthy, and above all, delicious meals no matter what you're hungry for. Each dish should take no more than 15 minutes to prepare, and they'll show you exactly what ingredients you'll need, how to prepare them, and how to serve to your family and friends so that everyone can enjoy delicious, quick, and healthy food. Warning: the following recipes may require the use of sharp knives, boiling water, and hot grills and ovens. Pay close attention to the safety guides, make sure you have some oven gloves handy, and if in doubt, make sure there's an adult around to help. Today, we have two absolute classics for you: spaghetti bolognese versus chickpea curry. Two very different but equally delicious recipes that will enhance your cooking skills as well as delight your taste buds. So, let's meet our Sky Chefs and get started. Firstly, we're going for a taste of Italy, as Dang is about to prepare his spaghetti bolognese recipe, but with a slight twist. He'll be using a mix of beef mince and lentils for the bolognese. So, once hands are washed and clean, it's on to the ingredients.
What we've got is some lean beef mince, some dried herbs, some mushrooms, lentils, peppers, onion, chopped tomatoes, some stock and some whole wheat spaghetti. Going to serve this with a nice little OJ. So the first thing you want to do is get your lentils, get a pot, put your lentils in there, just fill that up with some hot water. And you almost want to put double to almost triple the amount of water than your lentils. What I'll do is get that on the stove on a sort of nice medium to high heat. Don't worry too much about it. So with the handles, obviously, if you face them like that, you're more likely to knock them through if you're walking through. So we always sort of leave them at an angle away from the sort of edge of the range, just to avoid anyone sort of walking past, knocking you through. Right, so I'm just going to get on to some veg preparation. Here with the onion.
Staying safe in the kitchen is hugely important, and Dang has some good tips for when you're using sharp knives.
So with your fingers, you kind of want to put the blade close to the tip of the finger, not like that, but more like that. Again, keeping the knife close to your fingertips as possible. Just want to go down in that motion. Once you get there, turn the onion around and just go as far as possible in, not going all the way through the onion to keep it intact. And then you just want to kind of dice it. When you get to sort of that point, you want to drop the onion, go again. To be honest, you can wear goggles, but again, I think because I've been doing it for so long, my eyes are pretty used to it.
Once the onions are chopped, it's a good time to give the lentils a little stir as they continue cooking. And then it's time to chop the mushrooms.
Go straight down and slice these. So just a little tip as well. Normally, a lot of people get the pepper cutting mistake wrong. Normally, people will just cut it straight in half, then cut it in quarters, then take out. Then what happens is you actually lose the top and the bottom of parts. So what we do is we top and tail it, as we call it. Run your knife straight through the pepper, and then gently glide your knife in a sort of back and forth motion, and then you're left with that sort of inner core, and that produces less wastage. Cool, we've got sort of everything prepped now.
So now everything is chopped and ready, let's look at the ingredients list before we start cooking. For Dang's spaghetti bolognese recipe, you will need 250 grams of lean steak mince, 390 grams of green lentils, 1 onion, 2 red peppers, 180 grams of mushrooms, half a teaspoon of dried basil, half a teaspoon of dried oregano, half a teaspoon of dried parsley, 300 millilitres of beef stock, 800 grams of chopped tomatoes, 2 tablespoons of rapeseed or olive oil, 200 grams of whole wheat spaghetti, some rocket leaves for that final flourish, and a carton of fresh orange juice. But before you rush off in search of the spaghetti jar, stick around for our next delicious dish as Pranab shows us how to make his amazing chickpea curry recipe.
Balti is one of the basic curries that was surprisingly actually invented in this country back in the 1970s by the Pakistani and Indian immigrants. It's literally a quick curry with some spices like coriander, chilies, cumin. To our benefit nowadays, we do get this special balti paste, which does make life very easy for us in terms of adding the right proportion.
And talking of proportions, Pranab has already cut and chopped his vegetables using the same knife safety techniques as mentioned before. So let's have a quick look at the ingredients list before we start cooking. For this dish, you will need 350 grams of butternut squash cut into chunks, or you can buy them already chopped if you prefer, 1 medium-sized sweet potato, also cut into chunks, 1 red onion, chopped into medium-sized pieces, 2 tablespoons of Balti paste, which is around 140 grams, a bunch of fresh coriander, 1 can of chickpeas, 1 can of reduced fat coconut milk, 300 millilitres of vegetable stock, 250 grams of spinach, and 300 grams of long grain rice. But before we start on the curry, we need to finish off our bolognese recipe. So it's back over to Dang, who has finished chopping the onions, mushrooms, and peppers, and it's time to drain the lentils.
Right, so once your lentils are sort of boiling, the water's sort of gone, I would just drain it off. Just a little tip as well, obviously, if it's sticking to the side, a little bit of water. Drain it all off. Give it a little shake. Sit on top. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is get your frying pan on. You want this, again, medium to high heat, and you almost want it to the point where the frying pan's smoking. Again, make sure there's an adult around, just in case you set any fires and yeah. We use rapeseed oil, because it's British as well, but olive oil, any sort of oil is fine. So you want to get that hot. Whilst that's getting hot, water's boiling here. Just going to take, say, half of this whole wheat pasta, twist it, drop it, let it fall to the sides. Don't worry if it's not all going to go in. Once that's smoking, turn this down now. And again, at this point, just make sure there's an adult with you. And then I'm literally going to go in with my beef mince. And what you want to do, because the pan's hot, it's going to start to brown the meat quite quickly. And that's what you kind of want to do. Just lock in all the flavours. For me, using your spoon, just sort of breaking up the mince. Personally, I wouldn't break it up too much because you still want a little bit of texture in there. Just let that brown off. Cool. Once I start to brown, what I do is just turn it down slightly, get your onions, and go in with your onions. Give it a nice little shake. You know, obviously as chefs, we like to taste quite a lot, so no double dipping. Taste once, change spoon. It's a golden rule. Right, so once the onion's in there, what I do is chuck in my mushrooms. Give that a nice little shaky up. Also going to go in there with my peppers. You know, and one thing about this dish is it's really cool as well, because what you'll see at the end of it, instead of me sort of serving it out of the plate, I'm just going to leave it in the pan. You know, you could slap bang straight in the middle of the table, all the family can share from it, which is great. Once that's done, go with my lentils. Right, once that's done, I'm going to just turn it up slightly a little bit more, just get the heat back up. Once obviously you've put all the veg and stuff like that, you know, the heat drops. So trying to get that heat back up again. So in here, I've just got a little bit of dry parsley, oregano, and basil. A bit of dry herbs in there, a bit more flavour. You can also use dry mixed herbs. That always works well as well. You don't have to get the combination that I just got. Done. Just going to drop in some chopped tomatoes. Get that all in there. Give it a nice mix. I've also got some veg stock. Again, you can use chicken, beef, whatever you prefer. Right, and what I'm also going to do now, just turn that back down to sort of medium heat, medium to low heat, I would recommend, and then just let that simmer. And I think a lot of people get this wrong as well, is with the pasta at home, what they do is they drain it and they run a load of cold water under it. but we're not going to do that. So I'm going to drain this off. So once we've sort of drained the pasta, we sort of leave the pasta there. Just leave it to sit for either a minute. And what that does is just releases the moisture, dries out the pasta. So obviously once you get that sauce in it, what it's going to do is it's going to coat that pasta a lot better because obviously the pasta's not wet, it's not slimy.
So whilst the pasta is resting and we're almost done with the bolognese, let's go back to Praenab and start cooking our chickpea curry.
In Indian cooking, it's preferred that you use red onions. It's because of the sugar levels, and the taste is totally different to the Spanish white onions or the yellow onions that we predominantly use in the UK. So when you're sauteing the onions, make sure you're having the heat on medium to high. A medium heat kind of cooks the onions slowly, gradually, pulling its sugars out. And what you want is a nice brown caramelized onion, which has broken down completely. So that way, you'll have more sweetness incorporated into the sauce. A great tip to get the onions browned quickly would be adding a pinch of salt. This will help in drying out the water from the onions, and the onions tend to go brown quicker. All right, so we see that the onions are decently browned. That's a clear indication that you're ready to add your spices now. All right, so once the paste is sauteed, just add a little bit of stock to avoid it from burning on the bottom. At this point, you can turn down the heat a little bit. So when the vegetables are being added, start always with the tougher ones like the potatoes, because they're going to take a longer time to cook. And add in the vegetable stock. Turn down the heat and let this simmer for a good 8 minutes before you add the rest of the vegetables. In the meantime, when the potatoes are getting cooked, you could start off with the rice.
Make sure you wash the rice first to remove any starch, which will stop it from clumping together. And then boil the rice for 15 to 17 minutes in water that's about 4 times the quantity of the rice.
As we can see, the potatoes are halfway there. We got butternut squash, which is also quite a tough vegetable. You could add butternut squash and the chickpeas. So once you've added the butternut squash and the chickpeas, you can add a little more liquid and continue simmering that for another 7 to 8 minutes. You want the butternut squash cooked, but yet a bit firm. You don't want it all squishy and mushed up in the curry.
So whilst the curry vegetables are cooking, let's revisit Dang as he serves up the bolognese.
Sauce is done. Using a ladle, what I do is drop 2 in there first. Getting your tongs, sort of just giving it a mixture on. And what you want to do is obviously you want to keep repeating this stage until all that sauce is sort of really mixed in. You know, I think again, another tip is when you serve this at home, a lot of people at home would serve the pasta at the bottom with the sauce on top, but it's always good to sort of try and mix it in before you serve it. Just so again, so that all the pasta is getting coated in that sauce. Once you've got it all in there, using the ladle and the tongs, you just want to really sort of mix it in. You've gone through all that sort of hard work of making such a nice dish, nutritional, cheap, you know, healthy sort of dish. Always go the extra chef mile. Get some kitchen towel and literally just wiping the bowl, cleaning the bowl. Presentation's always key. And again, what I've got here, just to liven up the dish a little bit, just a couple of nice bits of rocket. Again, get some olive oil. What we're going to serve with that is a couple of glasses of orange juice. And that's it. We have a beef and lentil spaghetti bolognese served with a beautiful little orange juice.
Beautifully made, beautifully presented, and an absolute treat for anyone who loves Italian food. But we're not done yet. Praenab still has his chickpea curry to finish.
All right, so as we can see, the vegetables are cooked, but yet still firm. That's an indication now you want to finish the curry. You could add the coconut milk at this point. Coconut milk is there to add some texture to the curry, some body, and at the same time give it just that right amount of creaminess. It's also a great substitute for cream, and if you want to go vegan, coconut milk is the ideal substitution. So I'm just going to let that simmer away. I'm going to cut some coriander to finish the dish. Please make sure that you always thoroughly wash the coriander because they always have sand and grit on them. You can garnish the rice with a little bit of coriander sprigs and just cut a few wedges of lime and leave it there. We'll stir some into the actual curry. Just to add a little more greens to this, taking some fresh baby spinach. You want to put it in last minute, so you don't want it to turn black. Just want them wilted into the gravy. Garnish with some more coriander. There you go. We have vegetable balti with steamed rice.
And before you tuck in, make sure that you've turned all the grills and ovens you've been using off. And there you have it. 2 fantastic dishes that you can make yourself for you and your family to enjoy. For more hints and tips on how to substitute ingredients, go to this address. But for now, get healthy, get creative, and get cooking.